You might think Donald Trump's plan to take over Greenland is a thing of the past, but here's the thing, it's not. In fact, something far more shocking just happened. A bipartisan group of U.S. senators from both parties just made a bold move to send a message to Greenland. And no, it's not about Russia or China, it's about Trump. These senators are ready to go to war with Trump himself over the issue of sovereignty. Picture this, a delegation from the U.S. Senate flying to Greenland, not to discuss trade or climate, but to make it crystal clear that if Trump threatens Greenland or NATO again, they will act. This isn't just a political showdown, it's about global security, international relations, and the future of NATO. Why does this matter to you? Stick around, because what happens next could change everything you thought you knew about U.S. foreign policy. So why is this Greenland issue suddenly blowing up? It's not just about a piece of land in the Arctic. No, this is much bigger. This is about NATO's survival and global security. Trump's threats against Greenland are causing a serious rift within the U.S. government, and now senators from both sides of the aisle are fighting back. They've sent a clear signal. If Trump doesn't back off, they will stop him. But here's the part no one is talking about yet. This isn't just about Greenland. It's a test for the entire international order. What happens when an American president starts playing by his own rules, undermining alliances that have kept peace for decades? And more importantly, what does this mean for us? If these tensions escalate, the impact won't just be felt in Greenland. It will rock the foundations of NATO and the global balance of power. Now, let's talk about what's really at stake. These senators didn't just make a diplomatic visit. They came with a warning. Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, one of the key Republicans, made it clear if Trump pushes forward with any plans for military action or threats against Greenland, they will stop him. But here's the shocking part. Murkowski isn't just making empty threats. She's speaking for a significant portion of the Senate, both Democrats and Republicans, who want to ensure that Greenland stays protected, and they're willing to impeach a sitting president to make that happen. Now, notice what's missing here. Trump's response. So far, he hasn't directly addressed this challenge. Why? Because this is no longer a matter of partisan politics. It's about the integrity of America's standing on the global stage. And in case you missed it, the message from these senators is clear. If Trump doesn't change course, but the consequences will be dire. And it's not just about what's happening right now. It's about where this is headed. The situation is already escalating. Think about it. When was the last time you saw U.S. senators from both parties unite over a single issue this intensely? It's not just a protest against Trump. This is a direct challenge to his foreign policy, and it's happening in real time. This situation has all the makings of a new Cold War, a war of influence in the Arctic. Trump's words and actions are already destabilizing an alliance that has held firm for decades. But it's worse than that. The tensions surrounding Greenland are actually normalizing something that should never be normalized. The idea that the U.S. could use military force against an ally, against NATO, against a sovereign nation, this should be unthinkable. And yet, here we are. The world watches as the U.S. risks the collapse of its alliances in favor of a geopolitical game no one asked for. What happens when these moves are no longer just threats, but real actions? Let's dig deeper into the evidence. Senator Jeanne Shaheen went on record warning that even suggesting military action against Greenland would not just damage relationships with Denmark and Greenland, it would weaken America's security. But this isn't just rhetoric. The U.S. would be handing a major victory to its enemies, particularly Russia and China. If NATO fractures, it's not just Greenland at risk, it's the entire geopolitical order. Here's where it gets really disturbing. Trump's administration has openly spoken about military expansion in Greenland, including setting up bases to compete with Russian influence in the Arctic. But Greenland's leaders have already made it clear they want to partner, not be controlled. This contradiction between Trump's threats and the reality on the ground reveals a terrifying truth. Trump is willing to gamble with NATO's future for resources in a region that isn't even strategically vital to the U.S. military. Now ask yourself, what happens when powerful nations push each other to the brink over something so easily avoidable? And things are moving fast. First, We have Greenlandic lawmakers expressing serious fear that the U.S. could invade. The anxiety is real. People in Greenland, especially parents, are lying awake at night, wondering if the next day will bring an invasion. Then there's the growing military presence, not just in Greenland, but in the Arctic, with European special forces already on the ground preparing for the worst. And if that wasn't enough, the U.S. defense strategy is evolving in a dangerous way. The Secretary of Defense is now aligning with private tech moguls like Elon Musk to bring AI into national security operations, including military bases. But here's the kicker. If this continues, we could be looking at a full-on international crisis where nations are forced to choose sides. And if that happens, who really wins? Is this the beginning of a new Cold War, or is it something far worse? But let's take a step back and look at the real-world consequences. What does this mean for the people of Greenland? For them, this isn't a political game, it's a matter of survival. Imagine waking up every day wondering if the most powerful military in the world is going to show up on your doorstep. This isn't just abstract policy, it's real fear felt by families across Greenland. And don't think this doesn't affect you, because what happens in Greenland affects global stability, which in turn affects your safety. NATO's strength is directly tied to the trust between its members. And if that trust breaks down, we're all at risk. We've seen this before. When alliances fracture, the ripple effects hit everyday people the hardest. This isn't just about politics. This is about ordinary people paying the price for political games they didn't ask to play. If this situation escalates, it could affect millions of lives, including yours. If this feels familiar, say so in the comments. Now let's go beyond the outrage and ask the bigger question. How does this happen? Why would the U.S. risk destroying its relationships with allies like Denmark and Greenland? The answer lies in the system, a system of leverage, fear, and spectacle. Politicians and power brokers thrive on creating crises, real or imagined, because crisis is what drives political capital. Trump's threats weren't just empty words. They were calculated to create division, to distract from other issues, and to wield power. And the saddest part? It's all part of a larger pattern. Whether it's a fake military crisis or a manufactured economic war, the system feeds on conflict, and right now, Greenland is caught in the middle. The system is designed to create these moments, to manipulate public opinion, and to exploit every vulnerability, especially when the stakes are this high. But the real question is, how much longer can this system continue before it breaks us all? Now let's fast forward. There are two possible paths ahead, and both of them are unsettling. The first path? The status quo. The U.S. and NATO continue to navigate this crisis. With Trump's threats simmering in the background, Greenland remains under constant pressure. The Arctic becomes a flashpoint, and global alliances slowly crumble under the weight of these constant provocations. But there's another darker possibility, an actual military confrontation. It might sound extreme, but the pieces are in place. If tensions continue to escalate, this could very well lead to a standoff, not just between the U.S. and Greenland, but between NATO members themselves. The global order as we know it could fracture in ways we never thought possible. And if that happens, the dominoes will start falling. So what's next? The momentum is building, but the direction is still unclear. What happens when the next move is already in motion? Here's the final truth. This moment isn't just about Greenland, it's about the future of the entire international system. The cracks in NATO are already showing, and the U.S. is teetering on the edge of something much bigger. But here's the twist. What if this isn't just a geopolitical crisis? What if this is the beginning of a new world order, one where nations play by entirely new rules? The question isn't just whether Greenland will survive, it's whether we can trust the alliances that have kept the world stable for decades. And if they fail, what happens next? The next few moves are already unfolding, and you don't want to miss how this story develops. Stay tuned, because the pieces are still in play, and the consequences of this crisis could echo for years to come. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for more insights as this situation evolves. You'll want to stay ahead of the curve on what's coming next.